Hey, how you doing, guys? If you didn't see my last video, I kind of told you that I've been sick for the last 5 days, and sometimes it really sucks. But I'm finally totally over it. I'm glad. Um, and back to making some videos. Of course, video of the week. I made one earlier this week. I'm gonna kind of cover some questions that's been haven't done that in a while, so I want to answer them before it's too out of date. Now, I printed these out, and unfortunately, my printer cut some of it out, so I had to write the rest in there. And the first one comes from Sheldon Caron. Now, this has to do with the Color Finale Pro, or Color Finale in general. And Sheldon says, and this has to do with the problems with Color Finale, which another viewer had some problems with, so I was kind of answering that. And so he made a comment, which is, it's Color Finale Pro. It's super buggy, out of date, causes all kinds of problems with Final Cut Pro 10. And it's kind of cut off with Final Cut Pro right now, and it's a huge PETA. As to Pro apps, people at Apple, they have had a lot of people complaining about hardware, only to find out it's a problem with Color Finale Pro. They had just come out with an update. I haven't really seen it until when I made the video about it, so I don't know how you got the update, but it's still terrible. And when I thought about it, I'm like, well, it was been working fine for me for quite a while, and then I thought back, I'm like, whoa, hold it on, go in reverse. I think I might have had problems with it, and initially, sometimes it's hard to figure out if it's Final Cut Pro 10, graphic drivers, or even Color Finale Pro plugin. But my video scopes, after I use it for a while in Color Finale or Final Cut Pro, the video scopes start kind of just disappearing randomly as I'm moving down the timeline. It appears, it disappears. Sometimes I got to play with it to get it back, and I'm like, yeah. It could possibly be Color Finale, a problem with that. And really, sometimes it is difficult to pinpoint if it's, it could be a multitude of problems. Like I said, it could be the plugin, it could be Final Cut Pro 10, it could be the operating system, or a combination of all three or more. So sometimes it is hard to track down, but I was expecting it was Color Finale Pro. And sometimes, like I said, it's not always that. Because even if I look at iStat menus, there was some problems with the graphic card showing the dual cards. It would only show load on one card, and I always suspected it was iStat Pro. I've been waiting for update, and then finally Apple did update to the operating system and totally fixed it. So sometimes you don't know. So I just wanted to respond on that first, and that I think I experienced some as well. And let's go to the next one. Oh, here it is. Now, originally I did do a whole video just on Marco and Rotone, I think. So I'll just call him Marco. And I did a whole video just explaining some of the problems and things you could try. And I think if you can check in my comment section, he does point it to a Vimeo page, which it does have wonky colors, and it happens to him all the time. And now it's funny because when I kind of went over that question, I'm like, oh, okay, I can answer it now because they just come out with an update. Off the top of my head, I believe it's Color Finale and Color Finale Pro. Version 173, I believe, off the top of my head. I can't remember for sure. So definitely download it. Now, when I re-looked at all the updates that they did, and it says bug fixes. It doesn't, I don't think it really breaks it down, and sometimes I wish they would, but not always. But I think they do specifically mention some problems in there. So definitely check out that new update. Marco, and hopefully that will fix it. And of course, as well as some of the other people, and of course the with Sheldon as well. You might want to check that out, the new update, see if that helps you. And next kind of a question here, statement, which is, I love this username, by the way. It's Natimus Maximus. It kind of rolls off your tongue. And he says, the thing, this is responding my video on normalizing audio within Final Cut Pro 10. The thing is, using a limiter it always has to be on an individual clip. So frustrating how Apple doesn't get the concept of normalizing audio, which I do agree. In GarageBand on export, it brings the highest peak up to just below red. It actually kind of lowers it down. That's not even normalization, Apple. Normalization is bringing all audio levels to the even level, so the sound is not all over the spectrum when played back, which I agree. Just bringing down is not enough, and it's probably talking about the high peaks, and you also need to bring up the low peaks up to around the same level as much as possible. And of course, it all depends. If you're clipping to begin with, just lowering it down is not going to get away of the distortion you're going to get, by the way. I agree. Apple probably needs to work more on normalization. I don't have Logic Pro, so it depends on, somebody might answer this for me if they do have a plugin for normalization within that, or even some of the older versions. Hopefully they will bring that into Final Cut Pro 10 as a future update, improvement, if they do have it. Like I said, I'm not sure. The next one is from the Coffee Maker, another username I like. I'm a big coffee drinker. This had to do with my 24 hours with High Sierra. And he says, do you know if it will speed up my Mac Mini? It's already supposed to speed up with Sierra, but all it did was slow it down. And really, it all depends. And actually, hold on, I got something. And I do have a Mac Mini, by the way. I believe it or not, I haven't used it in a very long time. And now I've got an old style Mac Mini, not the new form factor. So I haven't had a chance to try this out in High Sierra. Now, it could be many reasons for this problem, and I kind of narrow it down to 3 reasons why it may not work, depending. I mean, it depends what kind of Mac Mini you have. I'm guessing that he has the newer form factor. Now, I did install it on my 2013 Mac Pro. It worked great. On my 2010 MacBook Air, it seemed to work pretty good. I couldn't notice necessarily if it's any faster, but it is definitely not slower. I haven't used my MacBook Air for that much, but maybe I'll comment on it if I do notice a big slowdown. So I see 3 reasons why it might be a problem. Depending on the age, once you get to a certain point, Apple doesn't support newer operating systems, or even they'll cut it off. They'll stop supporting it, and it could be for several reasons. Simply because Apple believes the hardware is either not is going to be too slow, or it doesn't support new hardware. It could be like Bluetooth 4.0 for some of the new features, and so on. And plus, really, the way Apple does things, after you go so long, I just don't see you supporting it. A Mac, 10 years ago. I mean, there's obviously a point, because they're not Microsoft, and once you get to a certain point, and then I could see where eventually they have to stop supporting it. Up to, they've been fairly liberal with that. Not always, but we'll see. So that's one reason. And I think to a point they do kind of, let's say, and some accused Apple of doing this as well, is they'll stop the support as a reason for you to upgrade by buying new hardware, which up to a point, I could see where they may do that. And even there's some workarounds to get it to work on unsupported hardware, and it even worked. And it's shown, you know, I'm not saying time and time again, but then again, like I said, you know, there's some issues that's not everything works, and if not everything works, I could see why maybe Apple doesn't want to do it that way, and they'll just simply complain to, you know, tech support, and, you know, they'll just say, well, it doesn't work with that feature. So I don't know. So it's really hard to say if it will speed up your Mac Mini. Now I consider High Sierra kind of like from going from Leopard to Snow Leopard, and it's very similar because it was all under the hood changes, and many believed Snow Leopard was one of the best operating systems out there. Now, obviously, not as much. It's just, you know, out of date. So to me, right now, High Sierra is kind of like how Snow Leopard was, and was all mostly under the hood changes. It worked really great for me, depending on what hardware you're doing it on and many factors. On my Mac Pro, it's been stellar. Definitely noticing speed improvements, even in some plugins that I was expecting not to be supported, especially the Neat Noise Video Remover. It's actually working at least twice as fast, and some of the background rendering and so on. I mean, not always, but definitely notice a speed increase. It's really hard to say if your Mac Mini is supported or not. I hate to, you know, say yes or no. I suggest maybe you could try it. The only thing is, unless you really know, or kind of a hacker like me, where if it doesn't work, where you can downgrade, and of course Apple's known where once you put the newest operating system on there, it's kind of hard to go back unless you know how to do it. And there's probably a way, and you could actually go in there, erase the hard drive, and then you simply, you know, install it on top of it, probably through a USB dongle. You can actually install it on the dongle. There's several ways you can do that. There's actually free third-party software that'll actually put it on a USB dongle for you, in case you have to reinstall the old operating system. So I suggest you maybe do that first before you upgrade to High Sierra. That way you can go in there, erase the hard drive, and then you just simply reinstall Sierra. I would like to say yes, it would definitely, you know, improve it, but I'm not sure. I hate to say yes. But like I said, it's kind of a gamble. Maybe a viewer out there, if they're seeing this video, could respond if they have it on a Mac Mini, either newer or older, and give their opinion. Besides that, thanks for watching the video, and great questions, by the way. And see you next week. Actually, I might do one more video because there's something else I want to do, some screen casting stuff. So till then, have a great rest of your weekend.